What is the difference between a page and a tag in the database version of Logseq? Let's explore it together and see what we uncover. So if you don't know, there are two different versions of Logseq. Let me just pull it up here. Okay, if you're new to Logseq and you've been using the latest version, the database version, you might not know that a previous version existed. So what I want to run through first is, so this is the old version of Logseq. This is the Markdown, the file-based version. So whenever you create a page, for example, creating a page for something, this is a page, right? This page becomes a distinct file. So if we look inside, this is what happens in Logseq, right? So you've got journals here, and this is today's date. So every day, Logseq will create a new file. This isn't how it works on the new database version. I just want to show you how it worked previously in the Markdown version. And the Markdown version is still active, right? But then we go into pages. Actually, I think it might be because I didn't fill. So you notice it's just got contents here by default. So if we go back to Logseq and we go in here and we put some content, okay, and then we go back to our files, and you'll notice here it now has page for something. If you open that up in Notepad, you'll see this as a bullet point. So one bullet point, right? So this is the Markdown version, right? So that's a page. However, we can also go down here to a new block. So all this is doing, every time I'm pressing enter, it's creating a bullet point. So if I just now create a tag, if I just put a hashtag page for something. So now this just looks like a hashtag, right? If I click into that, it goes to the exact same place. So it's redundant. A page and a tag in the Markdown version of Logseq are essentially the exact same thing. However, for the database version, the new version of Logseq, this isn't the case. So let's open up the database version of Logseq and I'll show you what I mean. So now, if we create a page for something, so this is a page now, right? So we're just going to try this out and see if we can figure out, just by trial and error, what the difference is between page and a tag. So if we create a page for, say, sci-fi, and some movie 2026 here, right? And then within this one, we will add a tag, sci-fi. So notice the difference here. So the page we created with double square brackets, and then the tag we added as it's just a hashtag, right? So but you notice if we go into this page, how is that linked? So that's curious. I didn't think it was going to link them in that way. What it might have done, so it looks like the default behavior, I'm literally just discovering this live with you. It seems like the default behavior is to convert this page into a tag. How can we prevent it from doing that? And now, like if I click on sci-fi, the page, oh, there we go. Yeah, so it actually redirects to the tag, not the page. Interesting. I don't know how to separate those. So by the look of it, it's promoted that node to be a tag. So we essentially, by using a tag with the exact same name, and this will be curious as well, if we make another with camel case, well, is that camel case? I don't know. With camel case, what happens then? Hashtag sci-fi. So this is a distinct new tag now. Okay, so now this highlights also, so I came into this assuming a few things, and it looks like my assumptions were not quite correct. So I was assuming that the page, sci-fi page, and the sci-fi tag would become two distinct elements, but that's not strictly true. It looks as though it gets promoted in a way. So it's not having to reconcile two different sci-fi elements that look exactly the same, because there was only ever one node right? So tagging using the exact same syntax just upgraded it. So if we look at the page sci-fi, we didn't, that's something to check as well. We didn't actually put anything in the sci-fi. So let's do another quick little experiment. We'll just create a page for sci-fi 2 original, I know, and then we'll create a page for some movies sequel. Some movie 2 also comes out 2026, but on sci-fi 2 we're going to populate this with some text, because what I want to see is if it survives. So if we upgrade that, so if we go back to our journal page, go into some movie 2 and then add the tag, and it's also different if we add the tag in the title. And so let's just change one thing at a time, right? So let's add sci-fi 2, but instead of clicking on convert, I'm going to press escape. Actually, no. So like I said, we want to change one thing at a time. So we'll go with that, right? And then we'll go to this page, and there you go. So it preserves this text that we wrote, which is good. And it also basically treats this like a tag, but it's sort of doing two functions here at the same time. So it's got the text that we created on the original sci-fi page. So it's basically merging these two elements together. So let's try now create a page for sci-fi 3. And then again, some movie 3. 2020. And then on this page, we'll put some text and then go back to the journal page. And so we'll go to some movie 3. Did I not? 26. Okay, that was weird. All right, so and then we go onto this page, and then I just want to try adding the tag here instead. So sci-fi 3. So it gives you the same thing. Does it change anything? So we put it in the body instead of in the title. Go back to the journal, and then we click on sci-fi 3 again. No, it doesn't make any difference. I don't know when that would actually make a difference though, because in my previous video we created a template, right? And when you want to use the template, you create the tag in the title, not here in the title, because then it attaches these properties. Okay, so now interesting. So it's actually assigned this tag to this node. This is a separate node. Instead of having an individual bullet point, it's a node. So effectively the tags become part. But that's not effectively how we're going to use. This was more of an experiment for myself, but that's not effectively how we're going to use tags, right? So if we add, like, realistically, we would be doing, this. So we can go over a little bit what we went in the last video. So if we do some movie 4, and then we create a movie tag, and then we go into the movie tag and we click on this arrow here, and then we add a property, and then we say like year, and then that will be a number. Okay, so this will show you the difference, what I'm talking about. So if we go here, and then, okay, so it's added. Yeah, so it's going to add it to whatever node you put it on. So if we click in here, so if we added the movie tag here, it would put the properties on that node specifically, but that's not really what you want to do, right? So you would want to put it here, movie tag, and then it adds the whatever properties you include, and then this is separate down here. This makes things a bit tidier. So if we do 2026 like so, and that's like that. So that's basically, you can think of it like metadata. So it's essentially the ability to add metadata as a template to the front of the file, and you can hide that if you want. And you can just write whatever you want here, and then that sort of preserves the metadata of this node, this page, so to speak, here. Okay, but that was quite interesting little experiment. Let me see if there's anything else. So I think a good way to think of it would be tags give pages a job. So a page on its own merit is literally just a section that might have some text, right? But you can extend the functionality of the page by adding a tag. And I guess in theory, you could actually put multiple tags in the title. And okay, so that's another experiment that we can run now, just quickly. So we'll do some movie 5 now. We're up to 5. And so we've got the movie tag. And let's create another tag. So what I want to see is if we add the tags, I want to see if it actually adds the properties of both tags into the so-called metadata of the page. So what other tag could we feasibly put there? Let's just make a genre tag, although it's probably not the best example, but this is just for this tutorial. For instance, normally you wouldn't, the way that you would define it is that you would create genre here as a property of the movie tag. So we're kind of going against logic with this one, but I just want to see how it works. So if we go some genre, and this can be, yeah, so this is where it sort of starts falling apart, right? And we'll just put it as text because we just want to see how it operates. So if we go here, and then in the title, we will put movie, and we will also put genre. Yeah, and so it works exactly as I thought it was going to. So it actually adds the properties of both tags, so you can combine the properties onto that page. And again, you can hide it if you want. So that's, yeah, I mean, that's effectively the difference between pages and tags. So this part is a page, and the metadata we actually pulled from these.